Hello. Just starting things up. I've got all the questions now. I don't have all the answers. I don't have anything written out for that. But that's what the episode's for. Welcome to a live episode of Lapin Lounge. Just with me, for once. It's not all that special. Might not even be all that long. But it appears, even though, I mean, we've got some questions. I think I'll be able to get some answers out of these. Granted, there are some ones that I don't really have an answer to. Regrettably, I do not know the Muffin Man. That was asked by Necopene Starry on Twitter. But overall, this episode is mostly meant to be like a retrospective on the show and everything. Kind of about stuff I've learned, stuff I've liked. It's been 12 episodes, 12 weeks. Well, more than 12 weeks. I mean, the very concept of the show was, it had to have been a whole lot longer than this amount of time. But overall, I just want to thank everybody for listening and everything. I can't say that I expected the episode to ever get episodes to get to 100 and over for views and things like that. That's wild to me. And the rest are getting decent viewership as well. I'm glad people are going through even after the episodes air and going back to everything. And I hope that the marathon has been going well so far. I know that I haven't been able to capture a lot of it myself, but I've been looking at the chat and everything. It appears people do appreciate their episodes and looking back at others, and it's been a whole lot of fun doing everything. I guess, as you've seen, what's been pretty clear is that I did all of this as basically an excuse to talk to people. And so I had no idea that it would even really go this well. But it's through the efforts of having people like Achi editing and the media team with everyone else involved, being able to advertise everything and get everything together. This was originally Celeste's idea. I think I've gone over that numerous times by now. But I'm very happy with how that's all turned out, for sure. I saw that you were doing like a play-by-play, Ruby. It's nice to see, and a lot of people have been coming by and having their episodes all, observed again. I haven't really. I think some of the early episodes I watched back, like all of it myself. And I don't really have any sort of issue doing that. It's just more like a time thing. I'm glad that everything's been going pretty well. But yeah, some of the future episodes that I have planned, I think I've gone over at the end of very many episodes. But in case anybody is not aware, there are going to be group episodes at some point. I have vague topics for them. One of them is definitely going to be an anime one, so everybody can start getting their feelings out about all of that. I think those will probably be pretty rambunctious episodes depending on who's invited. And obviously I want to start with 3 and then go to 4, but do groups of 3 for a while and then groups of 4 for a while. I'm not too sure about the 4 though. That might be on special occasions, just in case anybody wants to do that. But 3 is definitely going to be planned. Not really like versus or head to head type of thing. It's not really going to be like a game show, but more just like a forum for discussion on different things. Because I know that there's definitely been episodes where I felt like by the end of it, even though I loved everything, we didn't really get to cover everything. So every time I just sort of think, what if we could get multiple people in and not really like debating, but just giving more than one opinion at once? I think that would be a whole lot of fun. Hopefully still fairly chill in presentation, but definitely with some care taken to not have things go too out of hand, of course. But yeah, I would definitely love to see a lot of returning people. Originally, I was going to have like second episodes for people, but I want to make sure to get through all of the people who wanted to do single episodes first. Even if that, I mean, it should be possible theoretically to do that, but if it is not, then I might start some of the paired ones first and maybe go back to others who want to do single. I was going to say single player, but I suppose that would be single player. Yeah, and I do want to actually, I think I do have somebody who might interview me, because that is a good question. To wrap up season 1, I wanted to do the episode with my dad, and I think maybe having him interview me might work, possibly. But it just kind of depends, because it would definitely have to be heavily edited. I'm not too sure he could stop from giving out sensitive information or using my name or anything like that, but I know he'd be down for it. I actually I've given him the equipment already, and he has that, and hopefully he'll have some time to record that. But what I want to do is get like a design and everything for him, so that's probably going to take a lot longer. Speaking of which, episodes that are still planned are some of the ones with a few of the leaders in Bunopolis. I actually still have not gotten a chance to sit down with Viria. I've still not gotten a chance to sit down with Lefarian due to their design and everything. And hopefully some of that is going to be able to be, rectified. I also want to do one of the other things that I have kept in mind is the fact that between some people's episodes and now, they've gotten different models. So Sachi in particular, I would like to invite back on another episode, because they ended up having like an entirely new like 2.0 kind of thing going on, and it would be nice to see that progression shown, So Noxie was another one that was planned at some point, but there's like rescheduling things that have had to go on, definitely because of the fact that it's the end of the year and exams have been a thing. So there are definitely more episodes coming up that are just going to be single, but I think starting into like next year, I might do like a cutoff, possibly, because I know that December is like a holiday month and everything, so I don't expect people to be as free as they ordinarily would be. So I'm going to try and schedule as many people as I can for the rest of the year, and then maybe see if we can like alternate single and double. But otherwise, it's been nice to be able to like juggle like every week or so having some sort of scheduled recording session. That's been nice. And I think it should be able to keep going that way, because by the time it's January, maybe people might be less busy with exams and stuff like that, a bit more free, just based on, demographics and things like that. So hopefully that should be able to go fairly decently. I will be obviously in contact with people. I still, I believe there might be some people that are still not aware of the fact that the process for getting on the show is basically just DMing me or me DMing the person. So anybody who wants to be on, specifically in Bunopolis at this point, will be able to be on anytime that they're able to be on. Any schedule tends to work unless it's during the day at work for me, and I can't really just like take days off for stuff like that. I know that I might have to do that for some people in the future just because of time zone stuff. I know there are Australians around and things like that, but yeah, accommodations will definitely be made for anybody who wants to be on. I want that to be clear to everyone. The next episode, other than, well, this one, of course, I don't believe it's going to be on Monday. There's not really much plan for it to be edited by Monday, but I mean, I guess technically there's background music on it already. There may not need to be as much editing for it, but either way, I mean, if we could just, actually, it might be possible to just export this and put the VOD up on Monday. But regardless, I don't expect this to be like an official edited episode for Monday. If anything, there might be a VOD of it on the YouTube channel on Monday. But we'll still be discussing that for sure. And yeah, any single time that you want to be on, just let me know. I know that you're eager to talk again, so that'll be a whole lot of fun. And obviously, anybody who would like to be on for those episodes, it'll be, I mean, we're like working on some people, like trying to get the bug in there. But, it's been nice meeting everyone so far. I mean, that's 12 people I never would have talked to otherwise, if not for Bunopolis as a whole. So that has been one of the most fun things about this is, well, I mean, one thing I've definitely learned is I think, and this goes into actually one of the questions, which was asked by Viria on Twitter. What is the most interesting or surprising thing you've learned via the podcast sessions? I think I've learned every single segue and trick that I have to continue a conversation. And it's interesting seeing them all. It's interesting seeing them all like lined up between different people and how they work. And, I feel like the more that you watch everything, the more you'll be able to tell as well that I don't really have that many tricks. I just ask a lot of questions. And it's one of the reasons why I have an issue with like sitting and talking to myself, because I've never really done anything like that. So I don't know how to like ask myself questions and then keep it going like that. So that's one of the reasons why I've really loved having a show, just to have somebody else to bounce off of. I mean, more than half the reason for collabs is for an excuse to talk to people too. So playing with people is always fun and all of that. But if you're able to just like sit and talk, there's not really much precedent to do it unless you have a show. So that's been, I mean, try it sometime. Just try to invite somebody to a collab of just talking. And then probably one of the first questions you'll be asked is, yeah, what are we talking about? And if the answer isn't just like is just like anything, then it's just going to seem vague. So wine night? Well, actually, that goes into another question asked by Viria. What is your favorite cocktail, mocktail, or beverage? And I still think one of the most ironic things about the entire show, and this get up and everything, I don't actually drink. I've never drank a drop. I've never really intended to, and it's probably not going to happen anytime soon. But that is the thing. Like, I will definitely hang out, and yeah, I mean, I would love to hang out and do that sometime. As far as beverages, I mean, I'm a coffee drinker, somewhat ex-coffee drinker, because believe it or not, GERD is a thing. And it's not something that I really have like severely, but I had a bout of it that was very severe 1 year. And I don't know if you know this, but I have a deep voice. Now, when I had GERD, that was a sight to behold. I almost wish I recorded talking during that time, but there were some days during that time, it was like January of last year, I could not talk. I just couldn't actually talk. And it's not like I sit here talking to myself in my room or anything like that, but not having the option to talk is just like, it's scary. So I think after that, I took my coffee intake a little bit more seriously and lowered the frequency of that quite a bit. If anything, for caffeine, most of the time, it's not something I'm sponsored by, but various gamer drink powder type things tend to be what I drink most often. And combining those with stuff like tea and everything else. I don't really drink tea by itself. I mean, yeah, the anime thighs one, I actually tried that one. I did not like it very much. I tried the titty milk one. That one was actually pretty nasty. Maybe I'm losing a sponsor, but I think every single time with that one, people either hate that one or love it. But yeah, Gamer Subs is the one that I've probably bought the most of. I didn't really like Advanced GG that much. But hey, I mean, I would love for either of them to sponsor me. So, I will shill left and right if they're paying. Who really cares? But either way, those have been interesting replacements for like energy type stuff. I think I would probably stick with those for quite a while because maybe I'm easily influenced. I would love to have I mean, honestly, my business email is always open. I'm sure Bunopolis has a business email as well. But yeah, everything having to do with alcohol is something I have not currently tried. And it's not one of those cases of like disliking the idea of it. I know that there are people who definitely drink socially or have just sort of grown up around it. I was not one of those people. So it's just nothing that's really been around me. So I've never really, I've never really wanted to do that. But yeah, I mean, I'll take it. Like, being around people that are fun when they're drunk is fun. I know that there's people who probably are not as presentable when they're drunk. And that's usually more of like an IRL thing if they're going like absolutely nuts with it. But that's not really much of a scene that I've been a part of. I don't really go out that much. I don't know if you could tell. But yeah, there's definitely many levels to it for sure. But yeah, it has been a surprising thing. Back to the previous question a bit, because I know how I talk. and I know how I sound. And hearing myself go through a lot of the same kind of responses to questions has been kind of fascinating. I know that I don't really have like a ton of topics to talk about because I live my life mostly going to work and being online and stuff like that. But I would say maybe that I'm proud of myself for being able to hold a conversation with people, because it's not something that I really do that much. I mean, I've obviously have like coworkers and things that I like to talk to, and over the years I have, but I didn't really grow up making a ton of friends either. So I feel like the last time I really regularly talked to people was like fourth grade on the phone or something. Like, I'm not one of those people who was always in group chats and group calls and stuff like that. It took me a long time to even, like, even as a VTuber, to just collab with people and to talk, like, join chats and stuff like that. It's not something that I was really used to. So I've definitely been thankful for the idea of being able to do that, for sure. Oh yeah, no, it's, well, I mean, I knew that you would be able to talk for sure, but it's nice to see that these things always go a bit more smoothly than I think, because I don't really get nervous for them unless it's okay. If it's somebody I have not talked to whatsoever or anything, then sometimes I'll get a little bit nervous, but I'm trusting that I'm talking to people that know how to talk if they're deciding that they're going to be streamers, whether it's for a living or not. I mean, I started out as an art streamer that didn't really talk very much. Like, every single time I would go live, I would either think, should I mute the mic or just have nothing going or just play the music? So every once in a while I would just go back and do an art stream where I thought that, but I would just go and then like have no communication while everything was happening. So I didn't really know if I would be able to do the show quite as well. But I mean, it turns out I guess I probably should have had a little bit more confidence in that, because it's been going pretty well so far. I mean, a 5-hour conversation with somebody is not exactly a small feat. So I would say that that's probably like a crowning achievement of it, to be able to talk that long and to feel like it wasn't over. Uh, we must be both pretty good at talking. So yeah, I mean, that's been a nice thing to learn about myself. And as far as like learning about others, I definitely, I didn't really know very many details about people. I tried not to look too hard into people's streams before they were on, just because I would rather learn as we're going. Oh yeah, no, for sure. Like, we definitely would have gone a lot longer if it wasn't for that. But yeah, there's been people I've mentioned multiple times where even after the episode, we just stayed on and kept talking. And the longest one was definitely still Chaco, who we just, after the episode, we just sat and talked and just kept talking and talking. And then we just kept playing games and stuff. It was a lot of fun. You know, it's not something I'm very used to, being a person online, because Bunopolis is a very recent thing to me. And so before that, it was just like, I was just an island. Like, nobody really talked to me quite so much. And I wouldn't really talk to people. And that's mostly the reason. Like, I'm not very much of a person who likes to message people first or do the small talk thing. So having like a time and place to open up and talk to people is usually my jam. Like, that kind of goes for IRL and online as well, because I think when people try to talk to me and I don't really feel like it, I can really seem like I'm in a bad mood, but it's really that I just don't want to talk. And I know that that can get taken personally as well, like pushing people away, but it's generally I just won't be in the mood to talk unless I'm in the mood to talk. So I have to like schedule it and work my way up to it in a sense. Like I'm not always going to be in the mood to talk for sure. And yeah, like there's definitely okay, so the dead air thing is an interesting one because I feel like I'm okay with just pausing a little bit for people. And I don't know. Sometimes it's almost like waiting for them to fill the silence themselves. And it doesn't always work that way. So it just depends on the person whether or not it's going to feel one way or another. I think for the most part, because of the way that I talk, people know that I'm going to pause for like a significant amount of time while I'm trying to think of what to say. And oftentimes that'll be taken as the point to say something. And so if somebody wants to keep going, then I'll just let them keep going. But yeah, there's like a push and pull with people for sure. I think probably not to like single people out, but when people keep going and going, it's really, really easy for me. Like I don't really have to do much of anything. I have to like stop people a little bit and maybe interject. I'm very not used to talking over people. So I think maybe that's something that I had to get used to a bit more is like I have to talk over if I'm going to like get a point out about what they're trying to say because they're gonna keep going. That's happened only maybe like for like maybe 3 or 4 guests, I would say. Like people who are maybe known for a little bit more talking. And I think, well, yeah, I mean, you were one of them for sure. But I think you would stop probably a little bit more quickly. Some didn't really, but either way, I mean, it's just like a push and pull for all the dead air stuff. I have a harder time of it doing it myself for sure, but learning how to talk and just keep going, like that's been a years long thing for me. I kind of struggled with that when doing solo streams too, because when people have dialogue and stuff, I'll just like sit and listen to it, and I don't want to talk over the dialogue. So every once in a while, when I'm just like streaming something, I think if this has too much dialogue, like what am I even here for? So, but then the alternate thing is like having to read all the dialogue, and I can only really do my voice. So yeah, that usually doesn't work out quite so well, even though I like reading. But yeah, that's one of the reasons why I love the visual novel collabs and stuff. For another question, of course, what is your favorite thing to stream? From Sunray EJ on Twitter. A member of Bunopolis, of course. But yes, one of my favorite things to stream is visual novels. I just haven't really gotten a chance to do it in a while. So that's been one thing that I kind of want to organize, but it's a little bit more difficult to do that because you have to coordinate with people quite a bit more. And it's not something I've attempted in a bit, but one of the earlier streams that I did was a game called Find Love or Die Trying, and we read through almost one of the entire routes for a character, and it was a whole lot of fun, but it was just the two of us, and there were so many characters, so we had to like evenly split the load between all of these different characters, and they were doing most of it, and then they just kind of disappeared after a while. So it was Yeah, it definitely just depends on people's availability, and there's a whole lot of planning that goes on with that for sure. I really love streaming JRPGs because I really have a lot of fun with them, like the Tales games for sure. I feel like I owe it to people almost to play them on there because it's one of my favorite game series. But I haven't really been able to do that very much because sometimes it's just like I don't really know. I don't know if they make for great stream games all the time because you have to be so dedicated to them in order for them to continue properly. Like the last time that I streamed Tales of Arise, which was one I was going through, I think it was like a month ago almost, because I was trying to get ahead of some DLC that was coming out for the story, but it's been out for like a week now. I thought I would be able to finish it in a month, but I realized I would have to stream it so much and for so long that I ended up not doing it. But now it's like it's been a month since I did it. Will people even remember where I was? And it's just like it made me realize that there's a lot of games that are easier to like pick up and put down that somewhat make for better stream games. But if you schedule that out to do it like a weekly thing where people are expecting a specific game, then that's when I think it does well. I just have kind of an issue with scheduling sometimes. For me, like I'll schedule with other people. I will definitely meet those schedules, but for some reason, when it's for me, I just sort of shirk it. So I still have to figure out how to stream some of my favorite things for sure. But I mean, other than that, fighting games, I have not gotten into one in a while. I picked up Guilty Gear Strive, and I think I've made it pretty clear that the old Soul Calibur 6 stuff, like that is my favorite game ever. Like one of my favorite games for sure. It's just, it's a little bit hard to stream it because there's not a lot of people that play. And you definitely have to, like, just sitting there looking for a game, it can be kind of irritating. Like, it just sort of makes me want to switch to something else that's a bit more active. And I would love to pick up Street Fighter 6 for that reason, but it hasn't been like a low enough price for me to really get into it. I think there's a few fighting games coming up that I'm probably going to check out as well. Tekken 8 is a definite one for next year, but Ruby. We talked about people wanting to collab with in Bunopolis, and mentioned Canty. Now that you got to collab with them, is there anyone else you're interested in collabing with? Hoshi Lapin. I think that would be a lot of fun for sure. Just honestly, a lot of the people that I see that pop up so frequently on the live thing, I still have not gotten a chance to properly collab with Tabs either. Just every single time I will see somebody on there, like Casper for sure. I think I mentioned Casper last time too. Selena is on there. I'm just to scroll up. Kefka's also on Minecraft a lot, so I kind of wanted to hang out one of these times when they're playing Minecraft. But yeah, like just the people that are on most frequently that I see, basically, I would love to be able to collab with them. I think, and the only reason I even know that Noxy played Lethal Company is because they were on it like a few days ago. So yeah, definitely some of the people that I see more frequently over there for sure. I don't really quite know anybody else, so I mean that's just kind of, I mean, if I'm not really seeing them on there, then I'm not really gonna know to want to collab with them. But basically, it's just if they're there, then I would love to do it. And I'd love to have everybody on the show for sure. Kanti's going to be doing an episode soon. Recording should be next week. So we do have actually scheduled that one out for sure. And I think I haven't really DM'd people in a little bit for that. And so I think I'm just going to go ahead and keep doing that for this upcoming week and possibly the next, because I don't really have anything set up for that afterwards. So, oh yeah, no, for sure. if somebody does a collab, then I am going to ask, and if they say no, then that's fine. I believe there's not really very many people who talk in the chat for the Lapin Lounge that I haven't, except for Masa, and I would love to get them. It's just they were saying some things about how busy they were and exams and time zones and stuff. So when there's an opportunity, there will be an opportunity, I'm sure. So that should be perfectly fine. Yeah, time zones are definitely annoying with all that. But yeah, there was another one that I was thinking of. Well, no, I think I answered. I don't know the Muffin Man, unfortunately. But Viria did have another question. If we're into the random questions, I don't really have much of an answer for the horse-sized duck versus 10 duck-sized horses, but probably the 10 because I'm not very tall, but I don't think horses would be all that powerful if they were duck-sized, so that one seems a whole lot easier. There was actually also somebody named another bunny VTuber named Gravity who had asked how to get into the server, and it was interesting to see because I think they weren't really all that familiar with Bunopolis or anything like that, and I was able to direct them to the card with the Discord server on there, and I think they got in. So yeah, I mean the Discord for the Bunny Burrow is open for people to join for sure. I don't think that Bunopolis itself is open right now. I don't believe it is, and I don't believe it will be for a little bit, but it was just kind of interesting to see somebody trickling in after so long and asking. I was flattered to see that. So it's nice to have people still interested in coming and hanging out for sure. Now, the other one that I don't really feel like I can answer very well was Slimmer Badge, who asked, if you're a bunny, how many burrows did you dig? I did think of one instance where I dug a hole, and that was in the backyard, which for some reason it seems to have been like the strongest hole known to man, because it's still there like 15 plus years later. I don't know how it's still there, but we have just never been able to get rid of it. We've never been able to fill it with anything. It's just every single time it always comes back. I don't know how. So I suppose I have dug one burrow, and I don't know if that has to be like a qualification to be a bunny, but somewhat related to that. If you couldn't be a bunny, what else would you choose for a VTuber, was also asked by Sunray EJ. And you know what? I don't really have much of an answer for this one, because I always just wanted to be a bunny, but if I had to imagine myself as anything else in particular, I probably would have just stuck with the jackal idea just by itself. I don't know if people know this or not, but the jackrabbit thing for me is because I'm actually a jackal and a rabbit. That is one of the reasons why the ears are shaped sort of in the way that they are. And I could probably make it a little bit more obvious, but you know, the jackal part probably would have been the one that I stuck with, because I always wanted to do like somewhat vaguely Egyptian-esque theme. It's not specifically Egyptian themed, but something like it for sure. And inspired would be more the term than themed, but I definitely probably would have gone with a jackal, I think. And if not that, then regrettably, I must say probably a cat. I probably would have been a cat. I don't know. I mean, I don't think it really fits. Funny enough, I don't feel like... Okay, well, it probably fits personality-wise, but I don't think I like it, but I think it would have been the closest thing that I would have thought of to do otherwise. But I just couldn't imagine it now, you know? Because being a bunny has gotten me so... has gotten me so much with other people so far that I feel like I couldn't really imagine this, because we never really would have met otherwise. Like most of us, if not for the whole bunny thing. And so I'm very, very thankful to it retroactively that that's what I chose to stick with. But I don't even know. I don't know where I really would have been otherwise. So I'm very, very glad that I chose to be a bunny. And by now, certainly I wouldn't have it any other way. Like, I wouldn't change away from it now. I do also like demons. I mean, that would be interesting, but it's not really so much that I like demons. I just think the aesthetic is interesting. And frankly, just more... Honestly, the style of dress that I would choose for that, I feel like would fit me probably a little bit more. But I don't know. I couldn't really see myself being specifically a demon or something like that, though. But I just think possibly also because of my voice, people might associate having a deeper voice to being a demon or something like that. But I'm very glad that I didn't do that. So, you know, it's just one of those things. I kind of like the dissonance between being like a somewhat cuter bunny character and then having this voice. I think that's always something that I will enjoy, is somebody coming in and being like, oh wow, your voice is super deep, like they didn't expect it based on how I looked. So I feel like having that advantage is always going to be a fun thing to observe. But yeah, this is one question by Ruby. That's you. What is your favorite single player game of 2023 and favorite multiplayer game of 2023? Now, of stuff that has come out this year specifically, a game released that was called The Bunny Graveyard, and I went into it having no idea what it was. I knew that it was a horror game because it just had the horror tag on it, but I believe that has been my favorite game of the year, and it is technically not even like I need to spread that to more people, because it's been such a ride checking that out, and I had no idea what I was getting into, and I loved it so much. So that's always just going to be one of my favorites. Like, and I'm very much looking forward to seeing what else it has to offer as well, because the story of it is unfortunately technically not finished yet. It is a chapter game. I hate to even have to say that, but you know, I believe what they're doing is having the rest of the chapters released over time, and they're working on them. I think the second chapter is probably going to be releasing next year, but even just the first chapter of this game has been one of my favorite single player games of this entire year, for sure. If I had to pick another one from that, I don't even know if anything comes close to as, I mean, for stuff that released specifically this year, I can't really think of anything that comes close to how much I enjoyed that one in particular. Nothing really else comes to mind. So yeah, the Money Graveyard, that's definitely been my favorite single player. But multiplayer, I think this one's probably pretty obvious. Well, I played it yesterday, and I know it's being played to absolute death for like hundreds of thousands of people around, but it's gotta be Lethal Company. I don't know what it is about it, but it is just it's such a simple concept, and yet it just goes so crazy. Like, you don't really have to, I mean, obviously, yes, you have to think, but it just makes for a good situation to hang out with people in, because, you know, everybody's going in, they're getting scared, but it's not really specifically about that. Like, I think one of the reasons why I have somewhat of a disconnect with stuff like Phasmophobia is because it's so esoteric to guess the ghost and stuff like that, that if you just get it wrong, then you end up with nothing. But for this one, you're going in and you know that the monsters could be there, or they couldn't be, and you're hoping that you get kind of lucky because of the generation and everything. It keeps it a lot more fresh for not having just the same maps over and over again. And there's not really specifically something to learn, because you could just get completely unlucky and have all the placement, just have everything go haywire. But yeah, it's just like, it's almost like everything is a gamble, but you still have to have like a base level of skill in order to go in and avoid some of the things. You can build up all of this stuff and prepare. Like, it's just got so much to it. And for having the clear goal of just working up to the quota and stuff, I feel like that makes it a bit easier, because when you're playing Phasmophobia, there's not really like much of a goal. I feel like, I mean, you can do really well and you can guess the ghost, but you're not really, I mean, I don't have to compare it to Phasmophobia, because like, it's not really the same kind of thing, because the points are completely different for both games. It just is a similar thing in the sense that you're going in and you're fighting some sort of thing that you don't know about. But the thing that I like about Lethal Company in comparison is just that it's so much simpler, I guess. Like, yeah, it's all recognition for sure. But sometimes you can just get really unlucky. So everything kind of works out with that game. I did not expect to ever really like something like that quite so much, but I got right into it. So it was definitely unexpected, and I loved it a whole lot. I liked watching it, but I actually like playing it too. So yeah, we've definitely got to set up another one of those sometime for sure. And so yeah, that's both of those. This is less related as much, but one of the things was, what is my artistic process, asked by Suki Moon Bunny. Now, art has not been one of my things for quite some time, but I feel like even when I was doing art, every single time that I would do my process, I would do it a little bit differently. But she asked specifically about shading, and I think one of the things that I've recognized is that doing hard shading first has always just led to better results, of not trying to like smooth everything out initially. Because I used to do a thing where I would just do like airbrush shading and stuff like that, and it would make things look so gooey and blurry, and I had to work myself out of that for quite some time. Like, there was whenever I would go to do that, I felt like I was doing it right, but then I think I discovered also like multiply layers and stuff like that. and glow layers, and I definitely messing with a lot of layer effects has helped, because sometimes I'll do something and I won't think it's dark enough, but instead of doing a darker color and trying to go over the same layer, I would just duplicate the layer and see if I could mess with a different effect. And so I just have like a ton of layers doing everything. And sometimes I would merge it later, but I'm not one of those maniacs who works with like one layer or anything like that. But I do work with way too many. So there has to be like a balance between that. But I would generally say my process for shading has a whole lot to do with so many layers that it gets insane sometimes. And definitely like nesting folders of layers and putting effects on that layer and folder, and it's not the cleanest thing in the world, but honestly it gets the job done. So that's probably always how I'm going to be doing it, for sure. Now there were definitely the last three ones of these were food related, actually. Now EJ asked a pretty interesting one. What is your favorite food now versus from your childhood? And it might be related a little bit to another one of the questions as well, because I used to like McDonald's. And I used to like burgers and stuff like that a lot more when I was a kid, because there was a time in which there was this E. coli thing going around where a lot of people around would just not get burgers because they thought that everyone was getting E. coli from them because of some news report. And so, I grew up without burgers for such a long time that when we got a chance to get stuff like McDonald's burgers, I really, really liked it. But something happened in 8th grade where we went to DC and we had this really, really nice buffet that had probably one of the best burgers that I'd ever had. And then the next day we got McDonald's. And so the difference between those two, it actually put me off of McDonald's hamburgers like almost forever. I don't believe I believe have had one since then, and it was like a double cheeseburger maybe earlier this year, but other than that I have not had one since 8th grade. And yeah, so between those three of Wendy's, Burger King, and McDonald's, which was a question asked by Chaco at Absolute Cheddar, I actually like Wendy's, and I think it's definitely also because of the breakfast as well, and even the breakfast options between the three of them. I used to like McDonald's breakfast. I don't really like it anymore. I used to like those weird hybrid pancake things that they had. I don't really like those anymore. But Wendy's, it has like these croissant bacon burger things. Those are really, really good. I would definitely have. Oh yeah, they had like a chicken and bacon croissant as well, like a maple one. That is honestly genuinely really good. Wendy's lunch options, I don't really mess with that quite so much, but between any of those, yeah, I would probably get one of those. And I don't really, well, this is a weird one. I don't really like chicken nuggets very much, but I mean, I can stand them. I just don't really order them from fast food places very much. I would actually rather just get like a frozen bag of them and put them in the air fryer than just ordering nuggets from a place like that. But yeah, unfortunately, that is actually all of the questions from Twitter. We didn't really make the submission period of time very long because I honestly did not think of all of this for very long. I feel like I was probably a little bit too short notice for the idea of all of this. But if there are any other questions you have, feel free to ask them. Otherwise, I can't really. Oh, sorry. One second. Siren. But yes, I can't really quite think of anything else to report about the show. But I would like to revisit another thing, because another thing that I have learned about the podcast is that scheduling things every week is difficult. And it's something that I've had to come to terms with as somebody trying to help this project along as much as I possibly can. And so I do feel bad when sometimes things will get submitted later or can kind of push people into other circumstances. So I do applaud that everyone has been so patient with each other in regards to all that, because we're people at the moment doing this out of passion. We're not paid to do this, and we're volunteering our time for everything. Achi is not currently paid for doing the editing. I am not paid for doing the hosting. Nobody's doing. So this has all been just us coming together and doing this podcast because frankly, it's fun. So I'm happy that everybody has been remaining so dedicated to the idea of producing everything. And thank you again for all the support. I've been having a whole lot of fun with everything so far, and I mean, I went over all the plans and stuff for it in the future. I don't, the one thing that I don't know about is if we're ever really planning on getting people from outside of Bunopolis specifically to be on the show. I don't think we are currently. Other than my dad. Dad's not joining the thing. But I do feel like it's related enough to the show that we can have him on. I feel like that's pretty fair to have like family members and stuff like that. But yeah, I believe that's probably going to be one of the only exceptions made for whether or not it's members. If there's any other show that is going to be done in particular, it would probably be a personal podcast or show, but I don't really have any specific plans for that because I don't think I would be able to juggle that and do Lapin Lounge. So that would be something probably way further off in the future when I could be able to pay people to edit or do anything like that. But right now, I'm mostly just all dedicated to doing my own streams and doing Lapin Lounge. And so anything else that I would be doing, I don't think I would be able to have the time for it. But yeah, thus far, not really plans to just open it up to everybody. But honestly, if I'm going to do anything like that, I probably would just do the thing of just like or like inviting somebody to come on to the stream and just talking to them while I draw, or do like the study hall thing. I don't know, that's probably more my speed for anything else that would not be Lapin Lounge. But that's mostly just related to me as a streamer, so it's not really as related to the show. But yeah, for the most part, I mean, I feel like Bunopolis as like a way that people have been able to get together. I feel like having the lounge, being able to introduce people, to get people more information about each other, to get people more of like the feeling of what streams can be like and what their banter is like. I would love to see more of that in the future for sure. Not even just with me, but that is the primary reason behind the duo idea and the trio idea and the topics idea is just getting to showcase people a lot more. And so seeing some of those dynamics that people already kind of have with each other, having all of that play out, and you know, having all of that just fleshed out and seen as its own thing for episodes, that's definitely how I want to continue in the future. But yeah, I'm going to open it up to any other questions for now. And if there are not, then I'm probably going to go ahead and raid into somebody who's online. I see somebody there. I see a couple people there. Oh, wait, no, I'm scrolled up. Hold on. I see Sachi's on. And I see Tabs is on. Or Tabs was on? Tabs is on. But yeah, this was not planning to be like super long or anything. It has already been about an hour. So if there are not any other questions, then I am going to go ahead and go over into Sachi. And feel free, I believe we'll be resuming the episodes tomorrow for the remainder of them. I think all 3 of them. I'm not too sure about that. But yeah, I hope you've all been enjoying the marathon so far. It has been nice to see some stuff on the main channel, and I think we're probably going to continue airing stuff on the main channel. I'm pretty sure that's kind of the plan, but we'll definitely have some announcements out about that on the Twitter page, which of course is at Bunopolis. I would like to still do the episode of, rounding out the single ones with having someone interview me. And if it's not Dad, then I will ask somebody in Bunopolis to interview me. But that will be kind of down the line. So hopefully, I know that this was kind of short, definitely compared to some of the episodes, but we didn't have, we had 11 questions. So a lot of them didn't really have like detailed or long answers. And honestly, I would mostly be able to answer that art process one more visually, but I'm not going to really sit here and demonstrate all of that. I would actually love to do that sometime, but that would be more as like a collab idea, like an art collab idea for Bunopolis in general. So for now, I'm going to go ahead and raid Sachiro. And you can go enjoy. Oops, that's not. How do you spell that? Sachiro VT. There you go. But yeah, hopefully you're all able to enjoy, and we will be back tomorrow with more episodes. Monday, we'll probably see about putting the VOD for this up. If not, then we'll see you next week with Kante's episode. And thanks for being on. Or thanks for having me on, I guess. I mean, this is my show after all. But yeah, I will catch you next time. See ya.